Now at 9, Parsons police released new details about yesterday's house fire that injured multiple people, including children. Plus, the city of Joplin's plan for fogging neighborhoods to deal with mosquitoes. And it's National Drive-In Movie Day. We're going to hear how a couple of local drive-ins are celebrating.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
This is KOAM News at 9 on Fox 14. I'm Dow Quick. Parsons, Kansas authorities applaud the efforts of Good Samaritans who helped rescue a family from a house fire. Police are releasing more information about the victims of that fire that broke out at a home on South 22nd Street in Parsons yesterday afternoon. They say a mother and 3 young daughters were all taken to a Tulsa hospital by a medical helicopter. One of those daughters, a baby, is now in the care of relatives. The other 2 girls are ages 5 years and 18 months. No word yet on their current conditions or the condition of the mother. A man and a young boy apparently escaped from the home unharmed. Police tell us they've been talking today with a number of Good Samaritans who helped rescue family members from the home and helped EMS with the initial triage. Investigators are trying to determine the cause of that fire. Chief Meteorologist Doug Heddy joins us now with a first look at the weather.
Well, it definitely turned out to be another warm one for us today. Temperatures right back up into lower 80s for highs. Pretty close to where we should be for this time of the year. We started out kind of cool at 58 degrees. 84 is that average high. Average low is 63 degrees. 94 was the record set back just 4 years ago. Had some scattered showers, even a few thunderstorms kind of skirting across the region earlier this afternoon. Not much going on now. We're going to stay quiet as we go through the overnight hours for us tonight. So about 68 by 11, down to 62 by 7 a.m. Pretty much clear skies. I think our low is going to be right around 61 degrees. Now, we're going to rebound to 77 by 10 a.m., but we are going to see some changes the next few days. Chances for showers and thunderstorms tomorrow night, and then again as we head into the weekend. So I'm going to have the latest on all that here in just a bit.
See you soon. The Joplin History and Mineral Museum today hosted a public meeting to discuss the Dover Outdoor Recreation Area, also known as DORA. The project revolves around biking activities for people of different skills and all ages. It would develop nearly 100 acres located south of Zora Avenue and east of Lone Elm Road. At today's meeting, residents placed sticky notes of their ideas on a map of the project.
It's very exciting, mostly because I think it's very needed in our community. Thinking about just building better infrastructure for bike and walking trails, I think is very needed in our community. Mostly if it's going to be a protected park where folks of all different skills can access it and be a part of it as well.
The project will include more than 10 miles of bike trails, a pump track, and more. A couple of weeks before the official start of summer in Joplin's, mosquito fogging efforts are well underway. KOAM's Amber Jenkins has more.
The Joplin Health Department's fogging season started in April. According to the Assistant Director of Health, the need for spraying increased after a wet spring.
It's primarily complaint driven, which the complaints are tied to how much rainfall we're getting. We get more complaints during the rainier times of the year, and so that drives more demand, and so we're fogging more during those times. Blankenship says the chemical used is not a restricted use pesticide. It can even be bought over the counter. So the fog itself, we apply that at like 4 in the morning. We try to avoid people and pets. If we see anyone out, we'll terminate those operations. It typically dissipates in about 15 minutes. The fog truck is targeting parks in wooded areas. According to the assistant director, residents can take their own precautions to combat the mosquitoes. Some hot spots could be bird baths, swimming pools, cleaning out your gutters. Those are really good places for mosquito larvae to grow. They catch, water and leaf debris, and they're shaded. So, reporting in Joplin, Amber Jenkins, KOAM News.
The Joplin Health Department's fogging season ends late July. Fogging helped keep the bugs away from the Mercy Cancer Center's picnic for cancer survivors. That and the fact that it was indoors. The picnic had a 60s and 70s theme. Guests were able to learn about the stories of survivors and the care team who celebrates their survivorship with them.
This is something that the staff and everyone looks forward to so much. It's a celebration of life, and for everyone who has fought the battle, is fighting the battle, or will fight the battle, we're here. It's a chance to have fellowship and good times.
Attendees were also able to paint a rock for Mercy's Rock Garden. It was a special night in Frontenac as the Heritage Homecoming Mining Days kicked off. There was a silent auction, food and craft vendors, historical bus tours, and an old-fashioned carnival. The event is a celebration of the Frontenac community and its coal mining history. It runs through Sunday. Today is National Drive-In Movie Day. The 4 states has 2 drive-in theaters, both of which hold a special place in the hearts of their communities. KOAM's Anthony Saviello has more.
This has been going strong. It's never shut down since 1950, so it's the longest operating drive-in in Missouri. So we wanted to keep it that way, and it's never shut down since it opened.
The Barco Movie Theater is back and open for business. Last summer, the screen at the theater suffered heavy damage due to storms.
It had been standing for a long time. Probably one of the longest standing drive-ins in Missouri, as far as, it had never fallen, or, a lot of them have been redone, and this one hadn't until that point.
Scott Kelly manages the Barco Theater. In December of 2022, Scott lost his son due to health complications, and a few months later was on the verge of losing one of the places his son loved most. But with the support and help from the community, a new screen was built.
When Zach passed, we definitely felt the love from the community. He didn't meet a stranger, and we found that out. And so we sure miss him, but we dedicated last year to him, and I'm still running the ad on the front. It's the first thing you see every night that this season as well is dedicated to Zach. Oh, he'd be amazed, just like all of us have been. I mean, it's just a lot bigger and better than I expected it to be.
For the past 75 years, the Barco has been a staple in Lamar, and with this new screen, it's sure to be a staple for 75 more. In Lamar, Anthony Saviello, KOAM News.
Barco Drive-In showed Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory tonight to celebrate. Admission was $5 per car. Coming up, how a new study aims to expand options for veterans to receive service dogs. Artificial intelligence is accelerating the discovery of new antibiotics. Researchers at the University of Pennsylvania used an AI program to analyze tens of thousands of bacteria and produce dozens of promising antibiotic compounds. Study authors say what once took years will now take just a few hours, and it'll be especially helpful in fighting drug-resistant infections. Patients with a certain type of colon cancer should receive a short course of immunotherapy before surgery. That's according to researchers in the Netherlands who found the immunotherapy eliminated or nearly eliminated the tumor ahead of surgery for 95% of patients, and none developed metastasis 2 years later. Specially trained service dogs help ease PTSD symptoms in U.S. military veterans. In a small study, researchers hope will help expand options for service members. Fox's Jared Halpern has more from the White House.
It gave me that opportunity of peace and ease to be able to good night's sleep.
A new study could eventually bring relief for thousands of Americans with post-traumatic stress disorder. Department of Veterans Affairs teaming up with Canines for Warriors, a nonprofit that matches specially trained service dogs with veterans suffering from PTSD. During a 3-week pilot program, the dogs bonded with their assigned veterans, learning to pick up signs of distress like panic attacks and nightmares, and interrupting those scary episodes with comforting physical contact.
Their body is exhausted from the hypervigilance that they are facing. Those with a service dog appear to be struggling less.
As part of a double-blind study, doctors compared veterans who received service dogs with those still on the waiting list, finding the four-legged friends significantly helped to relieve symptoms while the healing process continued.
It's not intended to be a standalone treatment to cure PTSD on its own. It's intended to help veterans struggle less. And that's really what the data is showing.
The VA currently lists service dogs as not having enough clinical evidence to be prescribed to PTSD patients, but researchers are hoping that will change soon and programs like this will be expanded.
I can't really say that I've had really dark moments since I've had him. Yes, I've had moments, but they're now manageable moments.
The Veterans Affairs Department says PTSD is hitting Iraq veterans especially hard, with nearly a third reporting symptoms after their deployments. At the White House, Jared Halpern, Fox News.
Doug is next with a complete look at the forecast, and later a Pitt State track and field coach earns Coach of the Year honors.
Well, it definitely turned out to be a pretty nice Thursday for us today. We did get some clouds in here late morning and then into the afternoon. We even had a few scattered showers and thunderstorms kind of skirting across the region, really from Fort Scott, Pittsburgh, Nevada, Lamar, and then over towards Springfield. But anything that was out there earlier is gone now, and we're going to stay quiet as we go through the rest of the evening hours. So quiet, clear skies as we go through the overnight hours for us tonight. However, we do have some more waves out to the west, and these will start to affect us as we go into the weekend. So let me show you what's going on. See this twist in the upper level flow? That has a big upper level high, so it forces these waves above the ridge and drops them down. So that's why we see these kind of complexes of showers and thunderstorms kind of slowly working through every few days. And we are going to see a couple more as we go into Friday night and then also on Saturday night. All right, so hot spots. We're going to bring this out, meaning hot spots, strong to severe storms. So this is going to be for Friday night into Saturday morning, kind of central Kansas toward Kansas City, kind of clipping our northern counties over towards Springfield as we get some scattered showers and thunderstorms into the region. Now, as we go into Saturday night into Sunday morning, most of our area is under the hot spot for strong to low grade severe storms. So when I say low grade, we're talking about large hail and also some gusty winds, not really a tornado setup. So of course, we're going to watch this as we go through the next couple days. Let me walk you through time. For us tonight, down to about 59 Nevada, Monette 62 in Anderson, 63 in Coffeyville, Chanute, down to about 62 degrees. As we go into the noon hour, we warm into lower 80s. As we get into the afternoon, mid to upper 80s, so warmer than what we saw today. Now, tomorrow night, we start to watch thunderstorms build way back to our northwest. They're going to drive southeast, mainly affecting areas along the north of I-44. Here's late evening. These will most likely be strong to severe as they push through. Again, main really threat here is gusty winds and large hail. But out of here by Saturday morning, then most of Saturday looks pretty good. We warm back into the mid-80s, but here we go again. Here's 5 p.m., scattered showers, thunderstorms start to pop up in our northern counties, and we see a couple batches pushing through. So here's batch number 1 out by 10, and then here we go all the way into Sunday morning. So we are going to have at least thunderstorms across the region as we go into the weekend. All right, on your Friday, 62 to start, 83 by noon. High temp, right around 87. A random shower trying to get in here late in the day, but most of you are going to be dry. 87 on Friday, 87 on Saturday. Most of these thunderstorms are going to be nocturnal, meaning during the overnight hours, so most of the days are good. 77 on Sunday, a little bit cooler Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, and back into the upper 80s once again late next week. Down.
Doug, thanks. Coming up, a roadblock for electric vehicles.
Virginia's governor says oh no to EVs. Many drivers say the same because of price and range concerns. I'm Caroline Shively in Washington. I'll dig into the numbers coming up.
Bookhouse Cinema in Joplin is going to close its doors for the last time this weekend. For the 6-year-old theater venue will remain open till Sunday night. Their management does say that tonight was the last night for movies, however. The final showing for the final movie, I Saw the TV Glow, that was at 7:30 tonight. The restaurant and bar will remain open through the weekend, but management says food and drink are limited and have sold out the past few nights, in part due to first-time patrons. Red Lobster has identified more locations in danger of shutting down if a court approves its plan following bankruptcy. Those locations could include the one in Joplin. The company, which became the world's largest seafood restaurant chain, filed for bankruptcy last month and wants to shutter several dozen more restaurants. Red Lobster says it had more than $1 billion in debt and less than $30 million in cash on hand. Part of the plan is to close some of its nearly 600 restaurants if it can't renegotiate its leases. And one of those locations listed for possible closure is the one in Joplin. State of Virginia is bowing out of a deal which would require almost a quarter of new car sales be electric by the end of next year. Meanwhile, a new poll shows voters have concerns about EVs, which are keeping them from giving up the gas. Fox News correspondent Carolyn Shively reports from Washington.
3 years after Virginia passed a law to toughen standards on vehicle emissions, the governor is pumping the brakes.
We are going to make sure that all Virginians know you get to decide what car you want to drive.
The state was set to join California in requiring that by the end of 2025, at least 22% of new vehicle sales be zero emissions models. Federal regulations require that by 2032, 56% of new vehicle sales must be electric.
We need to end our addiction to fossil fuels, break up big oil once and for all.
Today, about 9% of Americans drive an electric car. About 4 in 10 say they're at least somewhat likely to buy an EV, but two specific concerns are holding many others back.
You see a lot of consumers that have both price anxiety and range anxiety.
According to Kelley Blue Book, the average price of a new EV is just over $52,000. That's down almost 13% from 2023, but still about $5,000 more than the average vehicle. When it comes to range, the average EV can go between 110 and 300 miles on a single charge. There are now about 183,000 charging ports across the country. That's up 90% since President Biden took office, but the number in many rural areas is zero.
That is pathetic.
The administration says more on the way.
There are thousands of chargers that are going to come online this year.
The Highway Administration reports they are on goal to reach 500,000 charging stations across the U.S. before the end of the decade. In Washington, Caroline Shively, Fox News.
Up next, how two astronauts aboard Boeing's Starliner rocket docked aboard the International Space Station despite some setbacks. The International Space Station gained another 2 NASA astronauts today, taxied there by Boeing. NASA test pilots Suni Williams and Butch Wilmore were welcomed aboard the orbiting laboratory by NASA's SpaceX Crew 8, who've been there since early March. Williams and Wilmore arrived on Boeing's Starliner after the space capsule encountered helium leaks and thruster problems. The leaks impacted the capsule's propulsion system, and 4 malfunctioning thrusters delayed the docking for more than an hour.
Some of these things could be minor problems, unrelated. I mean, all spacecraft have little glitches that we don't talk about that much, but in the case of the Starliner, their history of delays getting to the launch pad and getting into orbit makes all of that more interesting, I guess, than it would normally be.
The astronauts have been testing the capsule's systems in hopes of giving NASA confidence the spacecraft is ready to begin regular flights. NASA hired both Boeing and SpaceX to ferry astronauts to the ISS after retiring its space shuttle program. 30 more minutes of news, weather, and sports coming your way. We're going to meet a Southwest Missouri man who stormed the beaches of Normandy, France 80 years ago today. Plus, how Kansas state legislators are trying to steal the Chiefs to their side of the border.
You're watching the 4 states' most watched news.
This is KOAM News at 9 on Fox 14. I'm Dow Quick. Today marks the 80th anniversary of D-Day, the largest seaborne invasion in history, made by Allied forces in World War II that led to the liberation of Western Europe. Today, the last D-Day survivor from Springfield was honored for his service. Joe Hickman was there.
Springfieldian Jack Hamlin was supposed to be in Normandy, France today for the 80th anniversary of D-Day. But the 102-year-old recently broke his collarbone and ribs in a fall, and instead was honored at an assisted living facility in Springfield, receiving a proclamation and key to the city from Mayor Kim McClure in front of a room full of well-wishers. He called all the attention good for his ego.
Just makes my head bigger.
When Jack Hamlin was born, we had streetcars. Telephone number 1464.
Born in 1921, Hamlin attended Springfield Central High School in Drury along with his close friend Bob Barker of Price is Right and Happy Gilmore fame. Barker would end up in the Navy, while Hamlin caught on with the Coast Guard after an enlarged heart kept him out of the Marines. Hamlin thought his Coast Guard job would keep him stateside, only to find himself jumping out of a wooden cutter on June 6, 1944, as 160,000 troops attacked across 5 beaches down a 50-mile stretch of northwest France. Hamlin's job amid the chaotic battle was to
Rescue anybody in the water that was injured or drowning.
He was very much in danger himself, and the waters themselves were very icy, and so that was a very courageous act.
Trying to rescue a body, a soul, who has probably lost half his face, has lost his arm, maybe lost a leg.
It is truly just remarkable what he was able to do and what he did do for our country. I mean, I thank him every day that I see him.
June the 6th, 1944, 80 years ago. What a day will never, never escape my mind. It'll always be with me. There are so many other men who lost their lives out of them today, as though they are right next to me.
We can't thank them enough. More than 4,400 Allied troops died on the first day of the invasion, including 2,501 Americans. President Biden and the First Lady bowed their heads in front of a wreath at the American cemetery overlooking Omaha Beach where that invasion happened. Earlier, he was joined by French President Emmanuel Macron, who bestowed the Legion of Honor Award, France's highest medal, on 11 U.S. World War II veterans. Could the Kansas City Chiefs leave the state of Missouri? Possibly yes, if lawmakers in Kansas have it their way anyway. They're working on a plan to lure the Super Bowl champions across the state line. Missouri lawmakers are now demanding that the governor call a special session to counter the Kansas plan. Joe McLean reports.
We can't just sit idly by and just allow Kansas to steal our Kansas City Chiefs right in front of us.
Kansas City area Democrat Mark Sharp says he thinks Missouri needs to put up a fight, urging Governor Mike Parson to call a special session this summer to swat down efforts by Kansas lawmakers to make the Kansas City Chiefs a better offer.
We have to be aggressive, and we have to be as aggressive as the Kansas legislature is currently.
I think it just serves as a reminder that these are great assets for any state to have, and that other states are willing to compete for them.
House Majority Leader John Patterson, who represents the Lee Summit area, said he doesn't think a special session is needed, but says the state will have to make an effort to keep the Chiefs in Missouri.
I think it's best to take a measured approach, make sure that we have a plan, but certainly this is going to be something that is going to require that the state to help out to keep these teams. But I don't think we should rush into anything and make sure that we're doing the best thing for the taxpayers.
A spokesperson for the governor released a statement in part saying, quote, Governor Parson will do what he can to keep the Chiefs in Missouri. The Chiefs are Missouri's team, and Governor Parson continues conversations with the team's leadership to ensure that remains. House Democratic Whip Ashley Auney also represents the KC area and says while a move to Kansas may allow the team to keep large parts of its local fan base, the real impact would be felt in state revenues.
The implications of losing the incredible tax revenue and PR that the Chiefs have given to our state over the last several years, it would be devastating to our state. And I genuinely hope that whoever is our next governor takes that into consideration.
The team's current lease doesn't expire until 2031, but the Chiefs have previously said any decision about their future needs to be made well before then.
Spokesperson for the Chiefs declined to comment. If the Chiefs were to leave Missouri, it would be the second time an NFL team left the state in the last decade. In 2015, you'll recall, the Rams returned to Los Angeles after a 20-year stay in St. Louis. A bit later, getting ready for future challenges.
Millions of high school students are graduating, but do they have the tech tools they need for the real world? I'm Eben Brown in Miami. I'll have that story straight ahead.
Well, it definitely turned out to be a pretty nice Thursday for us today. We did get some clouds in here late morning and then into the afternoon. We even had a few scattered showers and thunderstorms kind of skirting across the region, really from Fort Scott, Pittsburgh, Nevada, Lamar, and then over towards Springfield. But anything that was out there earlier is gone now, and we're going to stay quiet as we go through the rest of the evening hours. So quiet, clear skies as we go through the overnight hours for us tonight. However, we do have some more waves out to the west, and these will start to affect us as we go into the weekend. So let me show you what's going on. See this twist in the upper level flow? That has a big upper level high, so it forces these waves above the ridge and drops them down. So that's why we see these kind of complexes of showers and thunderstorms kind of slowly working through every few days. And we are going to see a couple more as we go into Friday night and then also on Saturday night. All right, so hot spots. We're going to bring this out, meaning hot spots, strong to severe storms. So this is going to be for Friday night into Saturday morning, kind of central Kansas toward Kansas City, kind of clipping our northern counties over towards Springfield as we get some scattered showers and thunderstorms into the region. Now, as we go into Saturday night into Sunday morning, most of our area is under the hot spot for strong to low grade severe storms. So when I say low grade, we're talking about large hail and also some gusty winds, not really a tornado setup. So of course, we're going to watch this as we go through the next couple days. Let me walk you through time. For us tonight, down to about 59 Nevada, Monette 62 in Anderson, 63 in Coffeyville, Chanute, down to about 62 degrees. As we go into the noon hour, we warm into lower 80s. As we get into the afternoon, mid to upper 80s, so warmer than what we saw today. Now, tomorrow night, we start to watch thunderstorms build way back to our northwest. They're going to drive southeast, mainly affecting areas along and north of I-44. Here's late evening. These will most likely be strong to severe as they push through. Again, main really threat here is gusty winds and large hail. But out of here by Saturday morning, then most of Saturday looks pretty good. We warm back into the mid-80s, but here we go again. Here's 5 p.m., scattered showers, thunderstorms start to pop up in our northern counties, and we see a couple batches pushing through. So here's batch number 1 out by 10, and then here we go all the way into Sunday morning. So we are going to have at least thunderstorms across the region as we go into the weekend. All right, on your Friday, 62 to start, 83 by noon. High temp, right around 87. A random shower trying to get in here late in the day, but most of you are going to be dry. 87 on Friday, 87 on Saturday. Most of these thunderstorms are going to be nocturnal, meaning during the overnight hours, so most of the days are good. 77 on Sunday, a little bit cooler Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, and back into the upper 80s once again late next week. Dow?
Doug, thanks. Bolivian scientists have unlocked a way to potentially track glacial changes faster. They're using equipment they say is capable of tracking hourly changes to the size of glaciers. Glaciers contribute significantly to water supplies across the Andes mountain range. Those water supplies have been stressed by extreme weather, and these measurements help researchers establish a baseline for monitoring the changes. Coming up in sports, Game 1 of the NBA Finals begins tonight. Plus, the head coach for Pitt State Track and Field earns a national award. Brock Baldridge has that story and more.
The Pitt State Outdoor Track and Field team continues to pile up national awards after winning the men's and women's national championships, and now the coaches are starting to receive some accolades. Pitt State head coach Kyle Rutledge was named the Coach of the Year by the U.S. Track and Field and Cross Country Coaches Association. Rutledge led the Gorilla men to their third straight national title 2 weeks ago. He also led the women to their first outdoor national championship for the first time since 2016. And speaking of the women's team, his assistant Jesse Miller was named Assistant Women's Coach of the Year. Well, tonight is possibly the final night of the Division I women's college softball season. The Oklahoma Sooners are only one win away from a national championship. Well, we are on the horizon for that four-peat. The Oklahoma Sooners look to close things out against the Texas Longhorns. At last check, OU currently leads Texas 6-4 in the 6th inning. Plus, the Joplin Outlaws are playing for the first time since Sunday. Multiple rainouts prevented them from getting on the field the past 2 nights. Piney Woods is getting Joplin all they can handle tonight. The Timberhogs currently lead the Outlaws 11-4 in the 6th inning. Royals at Guardians this afternoon, taking on first place Cleveland in the 3rd inning. Jose Ramirez, man, he's just so dangerous at the plate. He gets the Royals to pay right here with a solo home run that gives the Guardians a 2-1 lead. We go to the 6th inning now. Kyle Isbell hits a grounder right to Josh Naylor. The throw to the plate is on time, but MJ Melendez jumps over the tag. He's ruled out, but the Royals challenge the play. After a review, you can see that Melendez does in fact get his hand in there just in time, and he is now ruled safe as the call is overturned on the field. We're now tied up 3-3. So we go to the top of the 8th now. Same score. Kyle Isbell comes through with a clutch RBI single to give the Royals a 4-3 lead. Kansas City gets a much-needed win. Royals beat Cleveland 4-3. An NFL update. Scary situation here for Kansas City Chiefs defensive lineman B.J. Thompson, who experienced cardiac arrest during a team meeting on Thursday morning. Thompson was taken to the hospital and is currently in stable condition. The 27-year-old Thompson was a 2023 fifth-round draft pick by the Chiefs out of Stephen F. Austin University. Well, after a week of waiting, the NBA Finals is finally here as the Boston Celtics are set to face the Dallas Mavericks for Game 1 of the Finals. Game 1 takes place at TD Garden in Boston, Massachusetts, and so far it's been all Celtics. Boston leads Dallas 100-75 with just a little under 5 minutes left in this game. The dominant first half by Boston gives them a huge lead, and bearing any sort of comeback, looks like the Celtics are well on their way to a Game 1 victory. And well, speaking of the NBA Finals, a free throw could earn you a free burrito during the NBA Finals. Chipotle is giving away free burritos whenever a player makes, from the Celtics or the Mavericks, makes 2 free throws in a row. When both shots are made, Chipotle will post a code on their X account, formerly Twitter. Just text that code to 888-222, and that will secure customers free regular priced items. So obviously burritos and basketball. What more could you want?
Yeah, burritos, one of those foods that actually work for any meal of the day. Breakfast burrito, lunch burrito, dinner burrito, snack burrito, midnight burrito, doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter. And I know with all the basketball going on, hey, I mean, who doesn't want a free burrito when it comes to those circumstances? Make your free throws, kids.
Can't argue with that. We'll be back with more news after this. Thousands of high school seniors are about to enter the next steps in their lives. But a new survey shows they don't feel like they have the tools they need to succeed in today's AI-driven workforce. Fox's Eben Brown has more from Miami.
College enrollment is now at its lowest level in 3 decades, and graduating students who enter the workforce of the future will need to learn how to use or not use a key new piece of technology, artificial intelligence. But a growing number of students say they feel unprepared for the giant new changes coming as a result of AI. A recent study by Brainly, the world's most widely used education app, showed 37% of this year's graduating class say they don't feel like they have the skills they need for life beyond school.
Where we're still lacking, where we still need to make up ground, is in this conversation about how the workforce is changing and how the education system, the formal education system, will adapt to accommodate.
What appears to be missing is instruction on how AI will integrate into everyday jobs, both blue and white collar. All too often, teachers are teaching about AI as a concept, but there's no training in application.
When is the AI becoming a crutch rather than an empowering, enabling tool? There's a bigger conversation here.
And educators say a new balance needs to be struck between what can be done by AI and what should be done, creating a much-needed understanding of ethics when it comes to artificial intelligence and job performance.
There's something where a teacher might say, hey guys, here's a writing assignment. Feel free to use AI, but only in this way. Right, and then you have boundaries.
Now, almost a third of all students say their school didn't teach them enough AI skills, and that's despite worldwide AI education spending topping $12 billion. In Miami, Eben Brown, Fox News.
The Federal Trade Commission is investigating a recent Microsoft deal with artificial intelligence startup Inflection. That's according to a person familiar with the matter. In March, Microsoft announced it had hired Inflection's co-founder and a number of its staff to lead its AI program called Copilot. Source says the FTC probe concerns whether the company's investment in Inflection constituted an acquisition that Microsoft failed to disclose to the government. Coming up, we're going to meet a Missouri 8th grader who's setting records on track. A teen from Missouri is now the fastest 8th grader in the state and the 4th fastest in the nation. Marley Campbell was able to catch up with this young track star.
She does not like to lose at all.
There's fast, and then there's Ella Messner fast.
In the moment, it's very painful, but afterwards, it just feels like rewarding, and I'm proud of myself.
The 14-year-old out of Academy Lafayette ran a 5-minute, 5-second mile at last week's Hoka Festival of Miles in St. Louis.
Ella Messner is your champion,
winning the race and breaking her personal record by 17 seconds.
I was kind of in shock at first, I couldn't wrap my head around it.
She executed it perfectly, like a master class in how to run the mile.
She's now the fastest 8th grader in Missouri and the 4th fastest in the entire country. In her coach's words,
sky's the limit for her.
She'll start with high school, attending St. Teresa's Academy this fall, where she'll, of course, run cross country and track.
I just want to, be part of the team.
She likes to set big goals for herself, and as long as she keeps doing that, I think she could dream as big as she wants to dream.
And that's our time for tonight. Thanks for joining us. We're going to leave you with video of twin screaming hare armadillo pups at Audubon Zoo in New Orleans. Let's make it a great tomorrow.